Welcome to the Casual Shenanigans Tech Podcast. I'm Jeremiah, and here's Dave.
I am, in fact, here.
Dave, what is the Casual Shenanigans Tech Podcast?
It is, in fact, more podcasting on top of podcasts, but with a little bit of a techie twist, so we can talk about video cards and make Joel fall asleep, because I know he's listening to this right now.
So what is it for people who may not know what it is?
I suppose we do actually have legitimate tech conversations. We answer viewer questions, listener questions. But yeah, tech focused, lots of PC part picker links, all that fun stuff.
Lots of PC part picker links. Like
basically, mainly, that's our content, is PC part picker links.
Mainly it's just talking about computer parts. It's a spinoff of the Casual Shenanigans Gaming Podcast, where we started getting too many tech questions to answer here. Or to answer there, so we answer them here.
And also because James would not stop texting Joel during the tech segments.
Well, there's also that. So without any further ado, Dave, anything new with your rig lately? I guess we'll make that a thing for this podcast. We'll start out, what have you bought lately?
It's like a rig check-in.
Ooh, we need to come up with a good name for it. The Rig Report. Yes.
Oh, that's horrible. I love it.
All right, Dave, it's time for the Rig Report.
This week on the Rig Report.
All right.
I'm trying to think. It's actually all is well, which is, nice compared to how it was in the summer when I was pushing my 970 SLI so hard to get the maximum Geralt of Rivia experience in The Witcher 3. Like, everything's just working. It's fantastic.
So, single powerful card, turns out it's really great?
Yeah, I've also decided that my next upgrade, like internals, is going to be when Edgar comes back to America and reclaims his sound card. I'm definitely picking up one.
Sweet. Oh, I've got 2 extras if you want one.
Yeah, I'm just going to get like a $30,
Yeah, I've got the Asus Sonar. I have a spare one, literally in a box.
I will pay real money for that.
Okay.
That's hard to beat.
I will accept real money. I mean, if we're going to do real money, I guess I'm in. Me on the Rig Report, I was very tempted. There was that SanDisk 960 gig SSD for, what was it, 225, 250, 260? I don't know.
Yeah, yep.
In the 250-ish range. I was very, very tempted, but since I figured out some stuff that was clogging up my SSD, I'm still rocking 50 to 60 free gigs, so I think I'm going to hold off for now.
Okay, now I have an actual Rig Report here. Now that you mentioned SSDs.
All right.
It's actually quite difficult to fill in a 1 terabyte SSD, I've discovered. Like, I'm glad that I have it, but it definitely was not a need. My After Effects cache loves it, but I still have 530 gigs free after having it for like 5 months now.
Well, I mean, because you haven't been installing tons of games, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, I have The Witcher 3, now Metal Gear Solid, and GTA 5 on there, and I think that's... Oh, Arma. Of course, Arma.
Yeah, I mean,
and DayZ. But I mean, DayZ's like 5 gigs.
So you got 10,000 hours of gaming on there, and that's it.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, I guess it's a very efficient use of space. Like, all the games you're going to load into and then not close for 5 hours.
Now, with a lot of those games, are you noticing a real difference in performance other than Arma obviously makes a huge difference? But like
with all the mods, yeah.
When we're playing GTA, I have not noticed you loading into things significantly faster than me, and I have it on mechanical.
Yeah, no noticeable difference for multiplayer. I did notice a significant difference in single player. I've played it off of a spindle drive, and yeah, significant difference. And then compared to consoles, where single player loads in like 9 minutes occasionally, that's happened to me before on the PS4.
I remember.
Yeah.
Everyone who was within a mile of you remembers. How is this acceptable? What is this crap?
I demand a refund on my borrowed game.
All right. Oh, and one other thing. So I'm pretty tempted. Crossover, which is one of those Korean monitor manufacturers that basically buys panels from LG or someone else and then sticks them into cheap cases and sells them as monitors. They have the 434K, which is a 43-inch IPS 4K monitor, which you can get from like $700-ish. I was very, very tempted this week. I'm not sure why.
I just feel like at 43 inches, like the definition of monitor starts to get a little gray. It's more like experience, wall projection.
That's the thing I'm not really that's the thing I'm not really sure about.
Yeah.
But
where it would go, that's mildly important, I guess.
If my eyes would focus, would it make my eyes worse? Things like that. So, yeah, I don't know.
Ooh, you just reminded me of a story I heard a few months back, Jeremiah, and this might be something we cover on the actual podcast too, but did you catch the study that kind of said definitively that there's no real long-term eye strain danger from lots of screen use? Just short-term?
I've seen that. I've seen that in the past. And actually, short-term is what I'm mostly concerned about.
Right.
I don't know if we've talked about it. Have I talked to you before about how like my eyes get jacked up at night?
Oh, no, I haven't heard this before.
I started feeling like I needed glasses. Like I've always had really, really good eyesight until like the last couple of years. And I don't think it's bad. Like comparing it with Hope's vision, I feel like it's maybe dropping just below 20/20.
Sure.
But it's noticeably worse after I've been working on screens or shooting pictures all day. It just feels like my eyes are just tired and they just can't keep up. Like,
because you're squinting through a camera a lot too. That's like a lot of different ranges you're looking through.
I am, but it seems to be like a combination of that and using a computer all day. Like occasionally, it hasn't done it actually in a while, but my eyes just get like super blurry and tired. And that's more what I'm worried about is like just the temporary eye strain. I did see that and I did feel very vindicated for as a kid, like reading into the covers with a flashlight.
I wanted to know, Jeremiah, how many times did you hear that from your parents? Like, you can't spend more than 1 hour at a time in front of the television or you'll have glasses by the time you're
Well, spending time in front of the television wasn't really a thing because we didn't have TV, but...
screens in general. I know for me it was the computer more than the TV.
Yeah. Well, at the time, though, we had a CRT monitor, so would that cause damage? I mean, CRTs aren't like LCDs. They do hurt you a little more as far as the flickering.
I think even then, there's no long-term effects. Like, unless you're, like, licking the sources of radiation inside of it or something like that. I don't know.
Kids, don't do that.
Get out that screwdriver and find the source.
I mean, I just figured someone would hear that and go, you can do that? Oh.
I mean, it's like an insignificant amount of radiation anyway, so... Maybe not if you lick it. That's a question that we don't want to answer, I guess.
Important questions being asked on the podcast. Is it bad if you lick it? No? All right. We'll move on. Let's literally anything else we'll talk about. All right.
How about some mail?
Yeah. Let's start with, you got the time codes ready there?
Oh, you just broke the fourth wall, Jeremiah. Of course I have the time codes. If you were to ask and break the fourth wall.
Well, I was trying to be all jovial about it. Like, wow, I got them time codes ready. But instead you were like, how dare you insult me?
That was like a Joel voice shift there, like default redneck or something.
It's totally just a voice I'm doing and not my childhood. All right. Amund wrote in, Amund, and he says, thankfully, I don't expect you to pronounce that correctly. Hey guys, love the podcast and all the amazing work you put into it. If what you just heard qualifies as amazing, you are most welcome. I have a quick question I hope you can answer on the podcast. Yesterday, the last of my two GTX 560 Ti's died. The first one died in March. This leaves my computer useless for now. I haven't really kept up with the PC building scene since late 2012, so I'd like some advice. I built my computer around Christmas in 2011. I have an i5 2500K overclocked at 4.5 gigahertz, the Honda Civic of Intel processors and speeds, an Asus P67 motherboard, 16 gigs of RAM, and an 850 watt power supply. Again, Amund, I'm not picking on your build in the slightest, but that is like the standard build.
That was the build for 2011. Like that was...
Yeah, and the clock speed, 4.5 gigahertz, 2500K, right to the front of the line. My question is simple. Should I get a 970 or a 980? I live in Norway, so the cheapest 970 I can buy is around $380, while a 980 goes for $630 to $650. Is the
Hell no.
Oh, all right. How did you know what his question was? You're correct. Absolutely don't get a 980 for almost $700.
I say that as a person who owned a 980 for like a month and a half and enjoyed it.
This week on Jeremiah and Dave forget which cards they've owned this year. You did have one.
I mean, it was a great card, but I got like the cheapest one that had like it wasn't a mail-in rebate, but like an instant rebate, a free game. Like I was trying to knock that, like chisel away at that price as much as possible. And I think after all that, even before like, considering the game codes and stuff like that, mine was like $530.
Yeah, and you still the whole time are like, I don't know if this is worth it. And as soon as you got the opportunity to move on, you did. But he says 4K is not a priority for me right now, and neither is 1440p, as I don't want to invest in another monitor. Max graphics in every game is not a requirement, but I'd like to get 60 FPS. Yeah, get a 970. Boom, done. If you want a recommendation, the Zotac 970, I own 2 of them. It's the small 2-fan version, very, very small, probably about the size of your 560 Ti's, and decently quiet, and mine overclocked fine, even though that's one of the cheaper 970s out there. I know everybody swears by the EVGAs with the ACX coolers, but in my experience, my 970 was able to overclock to be within spitting distance of Dave's 980, if you remember. Spitting distance. It wasn't as good, but it was close. And of course, you can overclock a 982 as well. I mean, but yeah, 970, give it an overclock. You'll be fine, especially at 1080p. All right. Next question is from Justin. This is a very long email. I'm only going to read part of it. Justin, I have read everything about the gaming wheels, and I will cover where I'm at with that right after we answer your question. So he says, hey guys, I'm looking for some help in the upcoming purchase of a gaming monitor. I had previously asked the same question and took your feedback on board, but I held off making a purchase as the game's out at the time or being released soon didn't really give me a good reason to spend substantial amounts of money.
But Geralt! Moving on.
I'm currently using a 24-inch Asus 1080p monitor, probably a TN panel. It works nicely, but it doesn't do anything super awesome. I'm sure plenty of people have one like it. I'm paraphrasing just a little bit. But now with Fallout being announced, I see a reason to upgrade. For the record, I'm referring to Fallout 4. It's an RPG game. You guys should look it up. I think you might enjoy it, get heaps into it, and spend many hours discussing how great it is to the point of arguing who's a bigger fan. Touché. I'm looking to upgrade to something 24-inch plus, preferably 27 inches to get a little bit more screen space, but not stretch the resolution too much. And I'm deciding between either 4K or 1440p. Probably stay with 1 or 2 millisecond delay, as that's what I have, but at the same time, I don't play Counter-Strike, so it's unlikely I'll notice the difference if it's a 4 millisecond monitor in something like Battlefield. I'm running a 3770K with an R9 290X, so that gives you an idea that I can run things pretty easily. I'm going to be spending a lot of time in the Fallout world, but as mentioned, I play a lot of FPS games, so I'm trying to decide whether or not it's worth going to 4K and sticking with 60 FPS for things like Battlefield, or going 1440p and getting a nice resolution bump, but also the option of 90, 120, or 144 frames. Anything I get is going to be an upgrade and look better, obviously. Here's where I really need help. I've only had this one monitor, so I don't know what will offer the best experience. Will it be sticking with 60 frames per second but going with 4K? Or will it be going 1440p but having the option for basically double the frames, with a nice but only small resolution bump for 4K? Or sorry, double the frames on 1440p with only a small resolution bump.
Right.
Should I go IPS and get a touch more input, or stick with TN and keep it at 1 millisecond delay? I'm leaning towards 1440p to get the big frames per second bump, as I hear that playing at 120 is awesome. But honestly, I haven't experienced it or 4K, so I don't know what I'll enjoy more. My price range is $750 US, so around $1,000 Australian, if it's a really decent monitor. But if it's not worth spending that much extra, still around $500 to $600 US is set aside for the upgrade. I don't know the meaning of budget gaming. Welcome.
There's a minor bit of responsibility there, I guess.
You're in the right podcast for that. So Dave, what monitor? This is actually, we're pretty well poised to answer this question, because both Dave and I had 1080p, and then we both did upgrades.
I'll let you breathe here, Jeremiah, and I'll set us up to answer the question here.
Yes, please.
First up, we really can't, I guess, answer the frame rate question like over 60 exactly from experience, because we're not, above 60. What we are bringing to the table, though, is we've both upgraded monitors in the last year. You went for 4K, I went for 1440p. And I'll just go ahead and dive into why I chose 1440p first, and then you can bring your perspective next.
Sure.
For me, I am the unapologetic graphics whore. Like, I want a pixel peep. I feel bad when the slider is not on ultra. Like, even if high to ultra is not that big of a difference, I need it in my body. I need to feel the ultra slider. So I knew that going to 4K, like, first of all, the monitor is a little bit more expensive. I would love the density for, the 3D stuff I do, for the video editing. But for games, I knew that I would be paying an insane amount of money for graphics cards to run games at the settings that I would want to run them at. Like, I knew better. And also, I guess I'm both the graphics whore and the cheapskate, which is an interesting combination. And not only did I just go for the 1440p, I went for a mono price 1440p to save about $200. It was a pretty good amount of saving. Had some light bleed, but I have been really happy with the glass panel. And honestly, for me, knowing that the graphics and 60 FPS in The Witcher, for example, are so important. I don't want to do 30 at 4K. I want to do 60 at 1440p. I've been really happy with it. I can see that I don't think I'm going to be at 1440p for as long as I was at 1080p, but for now, it definitely was like the correct middle ground decision for me.
Yeah, and I went with 4K mostly for work purposes. I'm a graphic designer and a photographer, and the pixel density of a 4K display really kind of jumped out to me.
Glorious.
Yes. Just because it makes things easier to do layout, text is crisper, pictures are sharper, everything like that. It makes a lot of that a lot better. So I went with a Dell something, I don't remember the name, but it's a 27-inch 4K IPS 60 hertz monitor.
Boom.
And I've been extremely happy with it. But again, like Dave said, neither of us have a lot of personal experience with 144 or 120 hertz refresh rates. We know people who do have experience and they absolutely love them.
Right.
But we don't have a lot of experience. So I really do like 4K, but as someone who has a 4K monitor, if I was primarily doing gaming, I would get 1440p. 4K looks amazing, but like Dave said, the bump necessary to run games is no joke. Now, I had an R9 290 and I was running this monitor and it was fine, but I was also fine turning things down to medium or high. And I was able to run most games without any problems. I actually have a video on my channel if you want to go check it out. I talk a little more about it, especially since you have the same card. That might be helpful. But for gaming, I think I would probably get a more gaming focused monitor if you're not doing a lot of like really color sensitive productivity work. So I have a couple different options to talk to you about, and let's just dive into it. So if you want to stick with like IPSs are beautiful. I would highly recommend an IPS.
You need an IPS or equivalent. Like, color accuracy is so important.
Well, I would say it's LED. It needs to be LED at the bare minimum. IPS is great, but there's other good technologies besides IPS, so I don't want you to think that's the only option.
They're similar as far as accuracy goes. Like, the accuracy is the really important part. Before 1440p, my upgrade was from a TN panel, one of the early TNs too, so it was pretty awful, to an IPS. And that was at a time where everyone's like, oh, you don't want IPS for games. This is like, 2009 or so. Like, you want TN for speed. But for me, my games look so much clearer. Like shadows were darker, colors were accurate, the angles were so good. I think IPS, or, like I said, equivalent, is important.
Yep.
That's me, though.
No, I agree. So the thing is, though, there are a few really good TN panels. There are good choices out there, and I'm going to present one of them. So first, we'll start out with the Asus PB278Q. It's a 1440p IPS 60 hertz monitor. It's $400. That is an excellent deal for an amazing monitor. This is the same panel that goes into Apple Cinema displays, just in a much cheaper case. It's an Asus. It has rotate, tilt, all that good stuff. Has a buttload of inputs, has DisplayPort, HDMI, DVI, VGA, all that. $400, can't go wrong. And I'll send you links to all these. Up next is the Asus ROG PG278Q. Same monitor, but the gaming version. So it's the Republic of Gamers thing. 1440p, but it's TN. It's not IPS, but it has a couple different technologies that I have to list all off. It's LED lit. It has G-Sync, which doesn't really help you as an AMD user, but eventually you may upgrade your graphics card to NVIDIA, and that would help you. It's 1 millisecond delay, and it's 144 hertz refresh rate. And that's $650. And this is widely considered to be the best gaming monitor on the market right now. It is a absolutely fantastic gaming monitor for $650. It's right in your sweet spot. it'd be awesome if it was FreeSync. Dave, see if you can find me a FreeSync one while I talk about the next one.
Yeah, resolution and refresh rate.
1440p, 144 hertz FreeSync monitor for his AMD card. And then the next one is the Acer XB270HU. That is another G-Sync 1440p monitor, but it is IPS. It's a 4 millisecond response time, which is plenty fast. But it's $850 and it only has one display port as its input. So I'm not 100% sure that's really what you're looking for. But it's out there. And then there is the Asus MG279Q that Dave just sent me. And it is another Asus 1440p, 144 hertz panel. It's also IPS and it's FreeSync.
Yep.
Actually, that might be the best one of the bunch because it's 144 hertz IPS and has FreeSync.
And it's Tom's hardware editor recommended.
It is, and it's $580. I'm going to say that's probably our recommended one out of the bunch. What do you think, Dave? Because it's 144 hertz.
Yeah.
Good resolution.
The bezel's nice and small. I mean, it's just real simplistic in design.
IPS, FreeSync. And now, if you don't, actually, he's been out of the game for a little bit. So, what FreeSync means, if you don't know, is if your frame rate varies a little bit in more demanding games, the refresh rate of the monitor will change to match it, feeling like you have that, VSync turned on with no delay and everything feels super smooth and no screen tearing. Like you can get that feeling with regular monitor. Now, you need to make sure that your card will work with it. Look up whatever 290X you have and confirm that it works with FreeSync. But that is an option. If you think you might upgrade to an NVIDIA card at some point, the G-Sync monitors are also fantastic. So those are 4 monitors to choose from. We would probably go with that last one. And then the second choice, I think, if you still want 144 hertz, is the Asus ROG 278Q G-Sync monitor for $650.
I like it.
All right. Oh, and to answer all the stuff you wrote about steering wheels, thank you. I read it all extensively. I'm leaning towards a Thrustmaster TX. I have not decided what I want to do for a racing wheel yet, mostly because I'm realistically going to be playing most of my racing games on the Xbox One for now because of Forza. Like on PC, there's Project Cars, but Forza 6 has a lot more depth than Project Cars has. It's not quite as realistic and the graphics aren't as good. But if I just want to drive for the next couple of years, realistically, it's going to be Forza 6. And so it's a lot of money to get one of those. Like if I could just race on the PC, then I would get a Logitech G27, which is pretty much the standard racing wheel. There's even someone selling it like on Craigslist in my area. It looks almost brand new for $130. I'd much rather do that than drop over $300 to get a setup with a Thrustmaster TX. But if I go with a Thrustmaster or go with a wheel, it'll probably be a Thrustmaster for now, so I can use it with the Xbox One.
And I will say here, Jeremiah, I currently have a Thrustmaster. It's like a throttle and joystick next to me. They make pretty good stuff, even the cheap stuff. But man, that is an unfortunate name for a line of products.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like, like imagine going to a store like, I'd like one Thrustmaster, please.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about the name, but they do make pretty decent stuff. And if you want
even
to get
the budget stuff, yeah, it's pretty good.
If you want to get an Xbox One racing wheel, surprisingly, that's the budget setup for something with force feedback and pedals. Now, if you want to add a 6-speed shifter instead of paddle shifters, and if you want to add a 3-pedal setup, so you have a clutch, you're looking at an extra $250. And then you need to mount it on something, and you're quickly looking at $700 worth of setup, which is getting you close to a Fanatec, which is like the real stuff, and that's like over $1,000.
Yeah.
So, next question is from Tyler, Mature Pancakes, member of the CSG community. He hangs out in Teamspeak like you can. Check the description of the video for links to that. Hey guys, it's Tyler, and well, I need a new graphics card. Geez, he does. He has a 750 Ti, and it pisses us all off. Because we're trying to play with him, and he like his lag and everything, or stutters. I do a lot of gaming at 1080p. I do some video editing and 3D modeling. So would a 970 or would a 390X be better? I want this to last a little while, so I'm not stuck on having to upgrade every year. Along with the new graphics card, I need a new power supply and case. My max budget for the case and power supply in total is $150. Thanks for the help. Keep up the good work. Now, Dave, for video editing and 3D modeling, isn't NVIDIA probably the best choice?
Yeah, traditionally 3D has worked, like as far as the consumer cards, a bit better with NVIDIA. Um, Honestly, I can't like give an official answer because I haven't tried 3D stuff on an AMD card since like 2005. So,
But
yeah,
does CUDA help with that, or am I not understanding correctly?
CUDA helps if you're doing like 3ds Max renders with like mental ray for the renderer or stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I don't think Tyler's doing any mental ray renders, but that is the safest option. Yeah, I'd say is to suggest NVIDIA, and plus you can get CUDA on, video editing stuff like that. It's pretty well supported.
Yeah, and I mean AMD is decently well supported too, but AMD NVIDIA is probably a little bit of a safer bet if you want to make sure it's supported. And yeah, 970. I mean that's pretty much the perfect 1080p card. I'm saying that for everyone else's benefit. Tyler has listened to us talk about our 970s enough that if he wants one, he's probably pretty sure about it.
Just as long as you only buy one of them.
Now, he says he needs a new case and a power supply. I'm curious why you need a new case, Tyler. I'm assuming something about your old one will not let you put more stuff into it, would be the obvious answer, but I'm not sure like what you need in your new case that you're not getting from your old one. So without knowing anything, I'm going to suggest the Corsair 200R because that's always what I suggest. I've used them in dozens of builds. They've gone up in money. They're now $70, which makes them slightly less of a great deal. But it's still for $70. It's one of the best cases you can get. I'm dropping a link into an email for you. But if he's going to spend max budget for case and power supply 150, we're already spent 70. So for about $70, what type of power supply can we find?
Oh, you can get some decent ones for $70. That's not bad.
I mean, he's doing a single card, so he needs like a 650 watt. Realistically, that's all he needs.
A good 650 ought to be the sweet spot. I agree.
I mean, I ran a 970 SLI off a 650, so like you don't even need that much. But
oh wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
I think you mentioned it, but
it was totally fine.
Totally forgotten.
Yeah, it was fine. No issues, believe it or not.
Well, outside of the cards.
Well, yes, there was tons of problems with the cards themselves, but I think I'll probably say the EVGA Supernova 650 watt. It's 80 plus gold. It's good. I don't know. Well, I mean, it's maybe a little bit expensive though. Let's see if we can get him something a little cheaper than that.
Gold means good.
Sorry, in case people don't know, on this podcast, like we talk through things live, so
it's right at $70. Yeah, it's.
Well, I followed the link to Amazon. It seemed to be a little bit worse than that, though.
Oh, okay. How about Newegg? Let me check on that.
I'm seeing a lot of my favorites currently aren't in stock at a few places, so I'm not really sure what's going up with that. Cooler Master's decent. They wouldn't be my first choice. Let's see. Can we get a nicer Corsair in that price range?
Actually, I thought $70 was kind of the sweet spot, but it looks like it's like a dead zone in the price ranges. It's like you have your $100 range, and then it's like down to the 40s and 30s all of a sudden.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's up with that.
Huh.
And then some like the Corsair CS series, I'm seeing lower prices on some things and they go up at others. So I'm not really sure what the real prices are here, but like I'm sure there are some good options. Let me keep looking here. There are good options in that price range. We're just trying to recommend that he not get it cheap, like a Corsair Builder series or like a no name. We're trying to find him like a really good quality power supply for that much money, which is pretty doable. I'm gonna put my max price at $78. That's just quirky enough to work.
The special snowflake price.
Let's see here. A 550 watt is probably a little low. That doesn't give you as much overhead as I would probably want. So we'll say that's out. Yeah, these are like decently slim pickings here. The Thermaltake SP series, that's their cheap one, isn't it? Yeah, it is. That's too cheap to be.
It is, but Thermaltake's pretty awesome.
They are, but so is Corsair. But we can.
Yeah. I am the Thermaltake fanboy, though.
I know, just like I'm a Corsair fanboy, and it's okay.
Which is funny because I have a Thermaltake power supply and a Corsair case with a Corsair water cooler.
There is here, this might work. Thermaltake, the TR2 600 watt 80 plus gold, $75.
Okay, yeah.
And we can grab him a cheaper case. Tyler, let me know like what I'm giving him a link to that, and then let's talk about the case again. I don't know what you need in the case. Let me know what you need for the case, and we can probably help you get a cheaper one. The 200R used to be cheaper than it is, which makes it kind of more of a obvious choice. But there's tons of cheap cases that will do, like you can stick all your stuff in them and they'll be fine. If you need something in particular, just let us know and we can help you out with that. I mean, there's tons of Thermaltakes and Rosewills and Cooler Masters and stuff for under $50. And honestly, they're all perfectly fine. Like none of them are going to blow you away. But as far as a box that holds fans to keep your stuff cool and then holds everything and works, like there's options. So let us know and we'll talk it over. All right,
Sweet.
Next question. Colonel Nixon. And this is probably going to turn into a longer segment on the Casual Shenanigans Gaming Podcast because I actually really like this question from Nixon. But he says, Nixon here, I hear you guys always mention buying used or getting good deals. And I was just wondering, what are your top sites for finding these deals? Thanks for your input and keep on keeping on.
The key to getting a really good deal on, say, a graphics card or a CPU especially, is you want to look for the trucks that are already running, like the engine's still going, and then you don't make eye contact. That's the key. It
also helps if you wave your gun around and yell about freedom, doesn't it, Dave?
Oh, definitely. Well, you have to establish dominance to get the best trade. With the merchant.
Trade. Is that what we're calling it?
I mean, you can...
Excuse me, merchant. I'd like to trade with you. Pow, pow, pow.
I mean, don't shoot them directly. Just suppressive fire. And the rates just come down.
But in all seriousness, so for new parts, getting deals, reddit.com/r/build a PC sales, and I'm going to be sending you a link to all this. That's probably where you're going to see the most deals. That's where we got certainly a pretty good chunk of the potato masher from. And then slickdeals.net also has quite a few deals. Like I'm looking now just on stuff that was posted today on r/build a PC sales. There's everything from refurbished GTX 670s, which are hella old now, to a CPU and motherboard combo, to a 290X, 980, power supplies, like 5 monitors, 3 or 4 more power supplies, more memory, like tons of stuff every day. So if you keep an eye out for like 2 weeks, you can probably find most of the things you want on a sale, as long as you're not saying, okay, well, I have to get this. Right. Power supply. I have to get this motherboard. If you're like, I want a 970, 980, something like that. I want 8 gigs of memory. I want a good 650 watt power supply. Like if you're a little loose with what you want, I'd say that's probably the best place to go.
Yeah, basically what you want to be in the mindset of is like, if there's a good deal that roughly matches what you're looking to get, like don't hesitate too much, like over brands and stuff like that. If it's quality, just go ahead and grab the deal when you see it.
Yeah. Because like, for example, Dave and I guess, correct me if you think this is wrong, but I would say we rarely go out to buy a thing. Like we start thinking about...
Never for me. Like
we start thinking about, okay, we know where we want to take our rigs. Like I know I want to get a terabyte SSD. I want to move in that direction because my 240 is getting kind of full and I don't want to move to a 512 because it'll be full in a couple years. If I'm going to do it, let's go ahead and move to a terabyte. Mm-hmm. I don't exactly know which terabyte. I like the Samsung 850 EVO, but I've been tempted by a Crucial and a SanDisk so far. So I know what I want, somewhere between 900 and 1,000 gigabytes and an SSD. And now I'm just keeping my eyes out and waiting for the perfect sale.
I mean, my monitor is a great example too. I knew that I wanted 1440p when I made the purchase, and I decided that just before Black Friday. And, I saw some deals on Dells, on some Acers, on Newegg. I just kept waiting, and finally I saw the mono price deal, and it was like $120 off for Black Friday. And mono price wasn't my first choice for monitor, but that was a good price, and I jumped on it.
Yeah, so that's getting new parts. To get used parts, if you want like the easiest answer, I would probably say Amazon Warehouse.
Yeah.
Do you have much experience with them, Dave?
I bought my CPU through them, and it was not cheap. I bought the Hexacore from Amazon Warehouse. That was I think my first major purchase from the warehouse, which was a little bit, it was new, but it's Amazon too. So
yeah. I've bought my 3570K used from them. I've bought a motherboard used from them. We got the memory and the motherboard for the potato masher refurbished through Amazon Warehouse. We got, there are a lot of things. Like I've used Amazon Warehouse a lot. The benefits are you get Amazon's customer service. And most of the time, things in their warehouse are just banged up boxes. Like my Rode Podcaster mic, like the box was in rough shape, and there's supposed to be like a big scratch on the housing of the mic. And I think Amazon just judges things by a really, really strict metric because this mic is like in mint condition, and I got it for like $100 off. So, I feel very confident buying stuff from them, if for no other reason than Amazon's customer support is great if stuff goes wrong. They won't tech support for you, but they will return things for you. What do you think about eBay, Dave?
I have had excellent luck with eBay. I've been buying used graphics cards from there for like 5 or 6 years now. But, technically there is a bit more risk. Obviously, you're buying from individuals. Do your research. I say in the case of eBay, what I mean by research is, that's where you don't want to just jump on the first deal that you see. If the person has a crazy good deal and they have 2 feedback and they're like listed as living in like the very, very tip of Florida or something, like that's probably not a place you want to get your, $200 and some graphics card from. Just for eBay, check out the feedback and be patient.
Yeah. And to go along with that, Craigslist can be great for snapping up a quick deal, like someone making a quick upgrade, looking to make quick money. Craigslist is all about people trying to make quick money one way or the other, pretty much. So you can get good deals on Craigslist. I would just be very careful, because once you've like met someone in a parking lot and bought a card from them, if there's a problem, like you're never going to hear from them again. So if it's something like a case, I would highly recommend getting a case on Craigslist, because it's a case. Like there's not a whole lot that can really be wrong with it. There are. Yeah,
I wouldn't buy full computers from Craigslist. I've heard of several cases actually where people were trying to pass off older computers with like a newer looking case, where like the parts just were not the same. If you're gonna buy stuff from Craigslist, wouldn't you say like buy individual stuff you can actually like look at and compare and
exactly.
look over carefully?
Yeah, like a monitor, if you can test it out at someone's house, fine. Case, if you can look it over and say, hey, everything's fine, not a big deal. There's stuff like that, Craigslist is probably fine. But I wouldn't really use it for anything important. And then the last one is reddit.com r/hardware swap. So this also has a little bit of risk associated with it, because you are buying and selling, from some random person on the internet using PayPal. But I've used them a couple times. I've been pretty impressed. And so I'm giving kind of a cautious, use at your own risk, but I've been happy. Because when people do make a verified sale, there's a verification thread every month where the person you bought from, if they're a good member of the community, writes, hey, I bought this thing from this person and it worked fine. And then then I confirm it by commenting on it and going confirmed. And then I get like a little +1 next to my name that says, hey, like one successful sale using this service. Yeah. So, it's kind of like its own little miniature eBay without charging a bunch of fees, because it's a free forum. I've had very good experiences with it because it's a small community, small, tight-knit, more enthusiasts. Like I haven't had any problems or anyone trying to scam me, but I'm sure some people have. But if someone has like excellent feedback on it or something, then like there are people on here I'm looking now that have like 20 or 30 successful sales. I'd be fine buying from them, just like eBay. Yeah. Good feedback's good feedback. And there are occasionally really, really good deals on here, and lots of people wanting to trade. So depending on what you have and what you're looking to move to, that could also be a good place to go. So in order of how useful I think they'll be, r/build-a-PC sales I think is by far the best. Then Slick Deals. With Slick Deals has non-computer part stuff, and it doesn't have as many things as Build-a-PC sales. Like I rarely see something on Slick Deals that's not on r/Build-a-PC sales. Yeah. And then I would say after that, Amazon warehouse. And then in fourth or fifth place would be like eBay and r/hardware swap. Would you agree?
I agree. That sounds legit to me.
Sweet. Next question is from Andrzej. We'll call him Andrew. I'm sorry I can't pronounce your name.
I'm gonna say that's a lot of Polish consonants there.
It is. It's Quantum. Okay, we'll call him Quantum. It's Quantum again with another question connected with storage this time, but I don't know if it's something up your alley. I have a very wired backup solution right now. Part of my PC is backed up to a NAS, which means network attached storage. It has no upgrade capabilities, has one hard drive inside, and that's it. For now, it works fine. I back up about 430 gigs to a 2 terabyte network drive. But I also have my YouTube archive drive that's 3 terabytes in size, and it's backed up to a Windows software array of 2 3 terabyte drives. I know, software raid. Now, recently my archive drive died. To make the story a little bit shorter, I recovered files from my backup. No data was lost. Just for now, my backup is scattered throughout 3 drives. Now, to do automatic backup, I use a simple program that synchronizes the files from a source folder to a backup folder. I'm guessing he uses something like SyncToy, which I've been using for years and I really like. It's made by Microsoft, believe it or not, although it's no longer supported.
Made by them and then abandoned by them.
It works great, though. Like, I don't need them to... It does not need updates. It does exactly what I want it to do.
Wait, you don't want a Metro app for SyncToy?
I thought about building a new PC with free NAS software, so turning a PC into a server. But I have no space in my room to put another big PC inside, and a NAS box is just very expensive most of the time. I want to unify my backup into one secure place. Can you recommend a good 4-bay drive NAS that will not kill my wallet? Okay, so basically what he wants is a case that you stick a bunch of hard drives in, and you can use it as a RAID, or you can just use it as a bunch of drives together, attached to his network, and everything gets backed up to it. Dave, I have a recommendation because I actually was helping a photographer friend with this recently, but do you have a recommendation before I start?
No, because actually for me, he's ahead of the curve on this one. My current backup solution is SyncToy to an external drive, and then once a month, or I guess it's once every 2 months now, I'll pull out my hard drive reader. I'll pull a stack of bare naked drives out of the gun safe, do longer term backups, and then put those back in the gun safe, which is partially fireproof.
Partially fireproof.
Yeah,
no offense, Dave, but that's not very comforting.
It's got like one of those it's like a 24-minute rating or something like that. So it's like
some of the time it protects your data all the time.
Well, it's like your guns won't totally melt away. Now, I don't know about hard drives, but it's there.
It's better than nothing. Have you ever considered moving some of them off-site, or is that just logistically a pain?
Yeah, logistically just a pain.
Well, I'll volunteer myself to be your off-site guy once I am a little bit closer. Yeah,
how much is it going to cost me?
It's not going to cost you anything.
Per hour.
I won't keep them in a safe. I'll just, stick them on a shelf somewhere. But the reason I wouldn't officially recommend Dave setup, and I'm fine with Dave doing it because, I know Dave's keeping an eye on this stuff, but hard drives that don't run die. Not necessarily immediately. It can take years. But Dave, are you familiar with bit rot?
Is that a thing on mechanical drives?
It is.
Ooh, let's learn Dave some knowledge tonight.
Mechanical drives, over time, your data, it's not physically on the drive, if that makes sense.
Well, I thought the drive gets heavier when you put more of the bits on it. It weighs the platters down. The platter's full of bits.
It's so dumb. Okay, no.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. So it's a magnetic. That's what mechanical hard drives are. They are magnetic. And over time, basically the magnetic field or the magnetized bits will go bad. They'll become unaligned the way they're supposed to be. I'm trying to make this as a simple a description as possible, just the layman's terms. I've heard it said before, if you can't explain it to a 5-year-old, you don't understand it. I do understand it, but I really suck at explaining it. But the takeaway is if a hard drive is sitting on a shelf, not spinning, not being maintained by a computer that's checking it for file errors and stuff, over the course of a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, the information on it will go bad. Inside your computer, it's not normally an issue because you'll be upgrading. Like if you're like most of us and you're getting new hard drives every 4 or 5 years, chances are bit rot will never be an issue. Also because your computer can correct small errors as they pop up.
Yeah.
So because of that, he says he wants like an upgradable solution. So if you want to go with a slightly less upgradable solution, the Western Digital MyCloud EX2 is a RAID box. It holds 2 drives. It's $156 for just the enclosure. It has USB 3 ports and it has an Ethernet jack, and you can put 2 drives into it. But you said that you want to be able to do 4. So the Western Digital MyCloud EX4, I know, what are the odds, is also available for $270. You can put 4 drives into it, and you can have a RAID 0, RAID 1, RAID 5, RAID 10, spanning mode, and a JBOD mode where it's just a bunch of drives. You can even buy it with drives pre-populated. So you could get this thing, 270 empty, but with 8 terabytes of storage in it, it's $637. It's cheaper to buy the drives and stick them in yourself, and it sounds like you know what you're doing, so I would do that. Get some Western Digital Reds or Western Digital Greens, honestly, would probably be fine. And you can stick them in there. But that is the cheapest network-attached USB 3 and Ethernet enclosure there is. That's good. Like, I would trust a Western Digital one. Anything to add to that, Dave?
Dave has no opinions.
I mean, it's kind of an open and shut thing. Like for what you want, budget home use stuff, get a MyCloud EX4. They're good. Highly recommend them. All right. Nice. Last question is from Cody. Hey guys, he says, I'll start off with the tech question. Oh, because he has some other stuff along with it. I have a i7 3770K on a motherboard. I'm skipping the name because they're all long and stupid. I have 8 gigs of DDR3 RAM and a GeForce GTX 760. He has the 4 gigabyte version of the 760. He does not have the CPU overclocked, mostly because I have the stock cooler. My question is, I'm looking for a bit of an upgrade. And before you ask, Germ, no, I don't have an SSD. And yes, Dave, I'll keep it cheap. The Samsung Evos are on sale all the time. So I already know that I need an SSD and a CPU cooler. So yes, the Hyper 212 is a nice cooler. So I will look into that.
Is he answering his own email? This is glorious.
It sounds like he's listened to us once or twice. The graphics card is kick-ass, as shown by the awesome Potato Masher. It is the same graphics card that's in the Potato Masher, except he has the 4 gigabyte version, so he has more VRAM. I do feel the age on some games, not being able to push it as high as I want. I'm not looking for ultra amazing, just very high on things like The Witcher, Metal Gear Solid, the Phantom Pain. They run beautifully on high with this card, but I want to future-proof the build for a while, and I hear you guys bragging about the 980 Ti. My budget is, it's around $1,400, but not all at once. The timeline would be next month to Christmas. I don't mind being patient for sales, so Cyber Monday sales are an option. Do you think it would ever be overkill going straight for the 980 Ti, or do you guys give your blessing to this card? If I do get one, I'll try for the gigabyte 6 gigs of VRAM 3 fan version, because I give nothing but praise to this card. Yeah, that's one of the best 980 Ti's out there.
Yeah.
Basically what he's asking is $1,400 for, he's going to be doing an SSD and a new GPU and a new air cooler. First thing I would say is don't spend $1,400 on all that. And I hope you're going to be buying other parts for that budget. I don't even know how you would spend that much money on a new air cooler. Well, I guess you could get like a 2 terabyte SSD, but don't do that either.
Yeah, definitely don't do that. Like, I would even say that for most users, even a 1 terabyte is going to be excessive unless you're trying to like install your entire Steam library to it, which is also a bad idea because most games don't need it. A 512's a sweet spot for an SSD. I think if you're just primarily a gamer.
But with his budget, it's not a bad deal just to go for a terabyte now. I mean,
you think so?
For $1,400, again, we don't really know what you're spending the money on, Cody.
Oh, but see, that's the thing is, I have a hard time accepting $1,400 as like a 4-month upgrade amount. Like, I just can't wrap my mind around it, Jeremiah. It's just difficult.
I mean, Cody, my guess is you're just buying other stuff along with that budget. If so, let us know and we'll help you out. But let's assume that money's not a big deal. A like Dave said, 512 gigabyte SSD is great. If you want to future-proof it more, like you want to with your video card, I mean, if you want a terabyte, get a terabyte. Like, you know how much money you want to spend on this stuff. Either of those are good choices for the video card. So, I mean, it's pretty obvious. Dave and I like our 980 Ti's. We've both been pretty happy with them. We've owned everything NVIDIA has this generation.
Including the sadness. We've owned a lot of that.
And we're pretty happy with them. Now, I guess I'm going to assume he's gaming at 1080p because he doesn't say. At 1080p, would you get a 980 Ti? Keeping in mind you want to future-proof it.
Man, he's got the money for it, but that still feels like overkill for 1080p. Unless you're doing like really high frame rates or something like that. I don't know. What do you think?
Here's my line of thought. So you and I both feel pretty strongly that a 980 is not worth the money. Now, if you can get a 980, like there were some B stock ones on r/build a PC sales. Let me go check this deal real quick. Yeah, the EVGA 980 superclocked was 380. You know, if you could get one for 380, hey, that's not a bad deal. We both like the 970 and think that it's the best 1080p card for the money. But you have more money to spend on this. So in that sense, a 980 Ti will definitely last you longer. I mean, that will
last a while, yeah.
In my experience, it's just as fast or faster in every game I play than my 970 SLI setup. And that's at 4K. So if you want something that will last you for years, you know, at least 4 or 5 years, still playing things on great settings, I mean, a 980 Ti is a slam dunk.
And he does have the budget for it. So.
He does have the budget. I guess you can tell Dave and I are both just nervous to recommend that you spend that much on it when you don't really need that power now, because that's an important thing to consider. If you're playing at 60 hertz at 1080p, you're not going to really take advantage of that card for years, and that's fine. That means you'll be able to max things out for years. Like, don't get me wrong. So I will throw out some other suggestions here. First of all, that gigabyte card is fantastic. So, you know, get it. Like, the gigabyte one's great. Dave and I have the Zotacs. Those are also good. I'd probably honestly like get one with the 3-fan cooler and just get whichever one has the best game deal or best sale going on. You know, probably can't go wrong. But with this type of money upgrade, let's steer you towards a better monitor. I'm just guessing that you have a 1080p, 60 hertz, probably TN panel, judging by the age of his build.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about that ROG monitor. We were talking about that the other Asus, the $400 1440p IPS one. You know, there are lots of great monitors out there. If you want to stick to smaller, you could go with like a 23-inch Dell for $150. It's 1080p. You know, I'm not telling you to get 4K or anything, but you know, maybe this is a good time to bump up to 1440p. It's something to consider with your budget. Again, as with all these things, anytime we're not sure, we encourage you to write back in. If you're saying, oh, no, sorry, I'm doing an entirely new build, I can't spend all this money on a card, you know, then that's fine. But if you're going to get a 980 Ti, I would strongly consider getting a better monitor to go along with it, unless you have a great monitor. But yeah, I mean, Dave's monitor is what, $250? Great upgrade.
Yeah, they're much cheaper now.
Yeah, and then that Asus $400, like awesome case, awesome features, last you for years and years and years. Also a great choice. You want 144 hertz? Those are out there too. Like whatever you want, they make it. You can fit it into your budget. And yeah, I would feel pretty good about a 980 Ti. If you can fit it in the budget. So if this helps, Mark Frenchie Libre, he has a 780 Ti. And I guess his build's going on about 2 years old now.
Oh man. Wow. It's been a while.
And he's still playing at 1080p and he has zero issues. Like he just maxes it out. Not a problem. No big deal.
Yeah.
So he probably in the next year or so, he'll have to drop a setting or two, but that kind of gives you an idea of how much you're looking to get here. Now, obviously if you move up to 1440p, it won't be as high as long. But you did say that you don't have to have everything completely maxed, which is good because with most games, like high will get you 90% of the visual quality as ultra high, but at like 60% of the performance cost or something. So, you know, as long as you keep a level head about what settings you really need to be on, it'll last you, I mean, honestly, 7-8 years probably wouldn't be a big deal. I mean, what do you think, Dave?
It's got legs to it, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, 6 gigabytes of VRAM, especially at a lower resolution, that's not going to be an issue for a long time. So let us know, Cody, and we will happily help you out if we can. But that is all of the questions. These people wrote into casualshenanigans@gmail.com, just like you can. Or actually, some of them went to casualshenanigans.com and they clicked the Contact Us button, filled out the form, and submitted it that way. So you can do either of those things.
The system works.
But yeah, it's thanks everyone for writing in. We really like doing this. I know it sounds like compared to Casual Shenanigans Gaming, this is like a little more low key, less high energy, less us yelling back and forth about stuff. But that's
we can add that if you want.
we can, but actually, Dave, I don't know if you and I would be like, what would we yell back and forth at each other about? Like,
I agree about the graphics choices we have made tonight.
We very slightly disagree about certain small features in regards to things that we both enjoy, but overall, we're on the same page.
Now, Jeremiah, what if we added an Apple Watch to this budget? Think we can just get that in there?
We could, but it adds no useful features, so I don't really see why we'd want to do that.
Oh, okay. wait, we're in agreement again. Oh
no. But yeah, thanks everyone for writing in. Thanks for your feedback, comments, blah, blah, blah. And we'll see you on the next tech podcast or the next episode of Casual Shenanigans Gaming. And
probably the latter, because that's tomorrow.
Good point. Well, by the time people hear this, like, it'll already have been out or something, probably.
Also a good point.
Yeah, but thanks everybody, and stay casual.
Farewell from the past.